Alice Wood is the founder and president of Wealth Watchers International, a company dedicated to promoting financial education. She is also the author of the critically acclaimed book, Wealth Watchers, a simple program to help you spend less and save more, where she shares her Wealth Watchers program, a program that Publishers Weekly calls an ingenious and highly original common sense approach to managing money. Her book was nominated for the 2010 Books for a Better Life Award. Alice facilitated a financial literacy initiative for McDonald's USA, which became known as America's largest financial literacy initiative in the workplace. She recently worked with a team of experts in the financial literacy field to help build the national strategy for financial literacy. She has been a guest lecturer at Benedictine University in Lisle, Illinois, where she helps teach a class called Personal Money Management and Spending and Saving. Before launching Wealth Watchers International, Alice owned and managed her own law firm in Naperville, Illinois for many years. She is a graduate of St. Mary's College in South Bend, Indiana, and she received her law degree from DePaul University College of Law in Chicago. Now, beyond the bio, I just want to say that I've come to know Alice, and over a few years now, she's just a wonderful person and such an advocate for financial literacy. Her passion and dedication for the subject really is unmatched. And I'm just continually amazed at all the doors that you open and all the different organizations and people that you're able to engage with. So you're just really a true champion for financial literacy, and we're lucky to have you here. Thank you, Alice.
Hey, I am so happy to be here today. And all of you Money Smart people know we are like family, aren't we? Anybody who comes to the Chicago meetings, don't you feel it? Sometimes I feel like I have breakfast more often with you than my own family. And it's probably not that far-fetched. I don't know how much you know about the way Chicago operates. I think the planning starts in October, and it's once a month everybody gets together. And you really do get that feel of a financial family. And you have to love what we're doing, because nobody can argue with financial literacy. I mean, it's a Tea Party issue, it's a Democratic issue, it's a Republican issue. We're all on the same page, and it doesn't matter which side of the political field we're on. I'll have to tell you, I love the person from the FDIC who talked about nobody came. We had all this and nobody came. And my first open to the public meeting for financial literacy, I'll never forget it, December 30th, 2005. So it's before the economy tanked, but a reporter ran a story about it before the program, and it ran on page 3 of a major newspaper right next to a murder. I mean, it was big-time news, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, we're going to be buried with people coming to this. And I actually made my children come. I told them this is going to be a historic moment. And so the day comes, and can anybody guess how many people came? One. I had one. And humiliation only makes you grow stronger. So we can all live with this. And again, I think this is such a fascinating field, and what we've seen happen since I started this in 2005 is jaw-dropping. But what I've seen out of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago is, oh gosh, it's just inspiring. I can't remember how many partners there were when I first came on board for the first program in 2006. And I wasn't quite getting what it was yet. I was invited here, I think because of that newspaper article. I think that's how the Federal Reserve heard about what I was doing. And my first meeting, they said that they'd like to endorse what we were doing as part of this Money Week thing. And I'm like, the Federal Reserve can endorse a product? And they said, well, I think what they meant to say is as long as you're not for profit, what they said is as long as you're not making money. And well, we were definitely not making money, so we just kind of ran with that. So we are a for-profit company. We've kind of slid under the radar a little bit. And it's kind of an interesting spot to be in. I'm not so sure we shouldn't be a not-for-profit, because my heart isn't giving everything away. That's what we would do if we want to. And we've been lucky enough to partner with Visa USA. And, that's kind of, if I give anybody advice, it's the partnership opportunities are critical. We can all do more together than we can on our own. So thanks to Visa having a decent-sized budget, we've been able to produce our journals. There were some samples out here, and I'll try to get more here tomorrow. But that partnership extended to the Federal Reserve. And you talk about what doors we can open for each other. And it's Visa's an interesting partner for the Federal Reserve because you don't regulate them. And so it makes it there's no conflict of interest in working with them. And believe it or not, they have their heart in the right place. They care very much about financial literacy. You sort of think of them as the bad guy, don't you? Look how much trouble we're in because of massive credit card debt. And what I didn't know about visas, they're just the mechanics behind the transaction. They make nothing on penalties or interest rates. And again, they've been an awesome partner. And so is the library system. I mean, I'm so happy to know Bobby Rudnick and watch what everybody does. And what we've learned from everybody here, there's always something we can share. With this best practices panel, I'm so excited to hear what other people are doing, and like we all are. And I know one of the ultimate suggestions will be on the Money Smart Week website will be share your success. What are we doing right? Let's share that information. If you have a challenge between all of us partners, we'll find a way. Like, I like the advice that year one is really tough. Like, who doesn't? I think everybody who's done this before knows that. There's such a learning curve to it. And again, that persistence is a big deal. You got that right. What I'd like to do is open up the panel discussions. I'm going to introduce everybody. I'm not going to read your bios, because what I'd like you to do is to tell everybody about how you came into this field, what it is that you do now, and where you see things going, and then I have a few questions for everybody. So, from our panel, and I know I don't have this in the right order, but we have Lisa Arneson from the Credit and Housing Counselor, Consumer Credit Counseling in Wisconsin. So Lisa, can you raise your hand?
It should be on.
Oh, is it good? Okay, thank you. Then Jackie Hoyer, Community Development Senior Advisor from the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas in the Houston branch. We have Joanne Custer, President of Custer Limited in Iowa. Susan LaFew, Senior Program Specialist from the AARP Foundation in West Virginia. And then Stacy Montague, Director of Public Affairs from the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, Denver. So Lisa, can we start with you, and if you can tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to be a Money Smart Week partner?
I'm employed by Consumer Credit Counseling Service, and I'm a credit and housing counselor. So our agency, this is just right up our alley. This is what we do every single day. And we had the opportunity to get involved in a statewide initiative in Wisconsin, and just said, well, yeah, duh, of course we would do this. This is what we do. So in 2006, we started to become Money Smart partners and created our area in Sheboygan and went from there.
And Jackie?
Hi. Yes, I'm Community Development for the Federal Reserve, the branch in Houston. And I guess this came about in my office. I was sitting there minding my own business. Our economic education coordinator had two visitors. But prior to this, Dr. Rhea Brown, who had been in the Detroit library system, was very familiar with this program and had contacted our office in Dallas about 4 years before then and didn't get a bite. So anyway, I'm in my office by myself, minding my own business. They say, Robbie says, Jackie, can you come in here for a minute? I want you to meet some people. And that's kind of how it started. It was with a professor from Prairie View A&M University in the business school, and Denise Shanklin, who was an entrepreneur and who later became the founder of this. So under my guise and as community development, not only do I do economic and community development, but we also are involved with financial education, and we provide curriculum and so forth and so on. So it's kind of like right up my alley.
That's great. And Joanne?
Hi, I'm an entrepreneur and business journalist in Des Moines, Iowa, and have run a business for about 30 years. And as such, I help businesses and organizations develop and deliver financial education programming. I'm a natural fit for Jumpstart, so I am part of the Iowa Jumpstart Coalition. One year, in 2006, I was president and I was looking for a speaker. And I looked on the website and I found one. I called him up and I said, we'd like you to come and speak at our Jumpstart conference. Of course, he said yes. Came out, we talked, and I went back to the website and he says, you really should talk to Alejo Torres. I said, okay, so I went back to the website, found Alejo's information, called him up and said, what's this Money Smart Week program you have? And he told me about it, and I said, well, Iowa is in your district. He says, yes, but we're not scheduled to start Money Smart Week in Iowa yet. And I said, well, I think you really ought to come because we're pretty enthusiastic and we could probably get it going. And he says, well, how about 2008? And I said, how about 2007? And he says, well, if you can get a room full of people, I will come out. And so Alejo, bless his heart, came out. And did we have a room full of people? We did. And thanks to Alejo, who is a real superstar, we got Money Smart Week started with Iowa Jumpstart Coalition.
Okay, Susan. All right, I'm going to rat you out first, though. Guess who she's a fan of? The Green Bay Packers.
Shareholder right here. Go Pack Go. All right. I'm with the AARP Foundation, which is the 501c3 nonprofit arm of AARP, and I work in the West Virginia field office. And the reason we have Money Smart Week is all Wisconsin's fault. A colleague of mine went to a NACA conference in Madison and heard a presentation by Dave Mansell and came back, and she was just losing her mind about Money Smart Week. She's like, we've got to get it going in West Virginia. We've got to call this guy named Alejo Torres. So we called Alejo, and we said, we don't know really what it is. We've heard it's great. We're not in your district. Can you help us? And he came out to West Virginia, and he helped us get it started. So we're one of the newest states with Money Smart Week. We've been doing it less than a year now. We started in the fall in October of last year, and then we got wind that they were moving it to spring, so we've had two. We had one in October of 2010 and then one in April of 2011. But we're excited to be part of the Money Smart Week family.
That's great. And Stacy.
Stacy Montague from the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, the Denver branch, and of course, being part of the Fed family, we had heard about it in our states and we decided to look into it. But I will have to say, I have to blame my mother on this. I'm a Michigan gal, and my mom was a teacher, and my dad is a teacher in Michigan for many years. And my mom called me up right after I started working for the Fed. She said, have you heard of this thing called Money Smart? I said, no, ma'am, I haven't. She goes, well, you better find out about it because it's happening in Michigan and you need to have it happen in Colorado. I said, I'll see what I can do. So, of course, who do you think I called to say, hey, what is this Money Smart thing? And I better get going on it or my mom's be mad at me. So.
That's great. Well, one of the things I'd like to talk about, and I'm sure it's everybody in the room is interested in this, is how do you measure the success of what we're doing? You know, you put all this effort into it, and is it by the number of people coming or what? And you know, so I'd like everybody to talk about maybe a specific program that they've done and how do you measure the success of that? I'm going to start with myself too because. I'd say the success was limited. It was tough going at first, but I feel the success we've had is, again, making new friends. Like the DuPage Community Foundation is here, which is kind of like the credit counseling world, you know, bringing together the not-for-profits and the whole community outreach thing. And anyway, you have a better budget than I did to pull this off. So it was really a nice group to pass things over to that could do a better job than I ever could. I feel like measure of success is you do want to impact people. So when one or two people come, it doesn't, I don't know, I know if you make a difference in one life, it should count, but you feel like it's a lot of work to go through. And I'd have to say in our best practices, the things that we've learned is you got to love a captive audience. You know you're going to have somebody there. So where do you find such a thing? It's in the classroom and it's in the workplace. And how do you get there? And most people have a banking relationship. We've worked with Harris Bank, US Bank. That's been a great in to get into the workplace. The other thing that has totally worked great, an open bar. I know it's not in everybody's budget, but the first time I had a crowd that was standing room only, it was because we served alcohol. So, all right. So, I know, it's true though. It's true though. So, and then the classroom is phenomenal. I mean, we've done things. One of our first programs that Bobby will remember this. It was a combination of second graders doing Susan Beecham's Money Savvy program, where the kids get a piggy bank, spend, save, donate, and invest. And then we had the Naperville Public High Schools who did a consumer ed program using the Wealth Watchers Journal, where the students set and tracked a daily goal for spending. We did this in Naperville City Hall. The school district paid to bus these kids, and second graders and seniors. Is that not a weird crowd? And it was fabulous. And our mayor dressed as Ben Franklin. So again, the things you kind of need is to pull in the people of influence, like your mayor. I don't know if everybody has a mayor, or if there's a different title to it. Your superintendent of schools, the park districts. again, your bankers, who are the leaders? Those are great people to know. So, so for what it's worth, those are some of our successes. And now I'll throw it over to Lisa.
I think, when we first started in 2006, we seriously went off of if one person comes in, we did something good, because we were doing community education programs prior to that as a nonprofit agency and never had anybody show up anyway. So we really didn't have much to lose. And that's exactly what happened. We, held all these classes and nobody came, and it's kind of what you all had already said today. You stick with it, and over time, it builds and it builds and it builds, and that's what happened. Now we're to the point where this past year we had standing room only in almost all of our presentations that we offered. And I mean, keep in mind, I'm here today saying Wisconsin, but I'm really from a community of like 50,000 people. So for us, in our Money Smart Week, to get 1,600 people that week to our events, that's huge. And we do it. People just crave this. It's insane. And, I look back from the beginning, and we, like I said, we had one that came in. We thought we were rocking it.
Oh my gosh. Now, Lisa, you have a PowerPoint. Do you want to go through that now?
You tell me. What
Okay,
do you want
yes,
me to
let's
do?
do that because we'll put it out there.
Question, and then they can each go through their part.
Okay, that's great. Okay, Jackie, how about you? What have your
Okay,
successes?
a lot of my answer is in my PowerPoint. But I think a couple of the key things that are pointed to is that we have learned not to have it during hurricane season. Hurricane season is not a good time in Houston to have anything. So anyway, we got off to a bumpy start because of Hurricane Ike. But I think just like Alice and Lisa have said, getting partners engaged and involved. We've had the mayor, the city controller, we've had community leaders such as Pastor Kirby John Caldwell. We have our illustrious Congressman Al Green involved. He's involved every year. Last year he couldn't make it, so he did a videotape to say, "Hi, I'm here. I wish I could be here." So that kind of partnership and those kinds of things measure. Plus, and you'll see in my slides, we've grown in terms of the number of folks that we've been able to touch, both through physically, one-on-one kind of group meetings and programs, through the website also. One of the problems that we've had is with, like Gina mentioned, with our library system, and when I worked with them on their FINRA grant also, and they were having an issue with that, bringing people into the library. So the practice that they learned was to piggyback on other nonprofits that were doing similar work and go to those functions and affairs, and it's become pretty successful for them. I think some of our signature programs have been really, really good, have brought people in the doors, and even though our library system itself has not had the success with people coming into the library, they are still a very, very great partner that we have. So I could go on and on and on, and I'll just wait until my little slides come up, but that's all I have to say right now.
Okay, thank you. Joanne?
Same here. Ours is kind of in the slides, but just to highlight, number one, we establish relationships. It's not about doing events in Iowa. It's about getting the relationship and the connection. So we connect with the extension services every place we go. We connect with the libraries every place we go. We connect with associations every place we go. Number two, what that builds for us is a little economic thing called creating demand. So they want us instead of us begging them. So we make the audiences, their audiences, our audiences. Number three, we look at our programs and take them to the audience. Two good examples for us are our Ben Franklin visits, where we take it into the schools, and we touch thousands and thousands of school kids across the state, all in about a 2-week period. And our Money Smart Women conferences, where we take it right to them, and we get a niche market. Niche audiences work for us: school kids, seniors, women. We can't be everything to everyone, even though we think we can, and everyone needs saving, everyone needs tips on credit, everyone needs to shred their valuable documents, but we do it in little bits at a time in niches.
Partnerships. The key is partnerships. And a key is also sharing, we found lately, sharing resources with audiences that you might not think would be the audience for that resource. For example, being with AARP, we deal a lot with older people, and we share with the older people information for their grandkids. And you would be surprised what a great vehicle it is to reach children if you give the information to the grandparents. A lot of children live with their grandparents or stay with them frequently, so that's been a good one. And Bobby mentioned it in her talk about the libraries. We've also found if you want to bring people in the door, you have food. Food has been a big, big drawer to lots of our events. So when we've had events where we've tried to bring big crowds, we've worked with different partners to figure out how can we have a meal at that event. You'd be surprised how much your attendance will go up if you can have a small meal at an event.
Well, of course, partnerships are key, like everyone has said. We've also learned that we have to create a buzz. That you do get very disappointed when only one or two people show up. So we've been looking on ways to move it to creating a buzz, and how do we get people to talk about it? And maybe I'll show you a flash mob video, maybe.
Oh, that'll be fun. So I'm going to bring up each panelist to do their PowerPoints and go through any comments that they want to make about that. So Lisa, we'll start with you.
I'm a Packer fan. Okay, anyway. All right, so for me, you're going to kind of have to forgive me because I get extremely excited about this whole Money Smart thing. And I'll honestly just tell you that if after anybody wants any of our information, anything that we've ever done, any of our stuff, you want me to email it to you, whatever, just let me know. I'd much rather have somebody do that and then tweak it, create your own thing. I will definitely give it to you. This is what I do. This is what I live. So I absolutely love this stuff. So whatever you guys need, you let me know. But I'll just give you I'll go through the years from when we started, what we originally did, and then where we're leading to now. In 2006, in Wisconsin, one of our big things that we did, we had very limited funds, as many of the areas do. So we did a lot of street marketing, whereas more so, in Chicago and some of the bigger areas, you can go out to the street and literally do marketing. Not so much in a lot of the smaller areas. You'll be waiting a while to find somebody to talk to. So we had to find our events to do our street marketing at. So we walked in parades. You'll see a picture of a nice green minivan. It's very Money Smart. That was mine at the time. Just put a banner on it, and we got the inserts and passed out inserts through a parade, gave them to the kids. We did little Hershey bars and wrapped it with a sticker on it that said Money Smart Week, and just different things that we could do that would get people's interest. And that's all we put on there was Money Smart Week in the website. So they had no clue what this meant. This was our first year, and it really built a lot of interest with people because people are nosy and they want to know what's going on and they don't want to be left out. So we just put a website on there and made them find out their own information. We did booths at county fairs in our state. Again, it's just a really inexpensive way to get a lot of information out to a lot of people. Something that we're looking forward to doing to next year is because t-shirts are so inexpensive. What we are planning on doing, we have a partner in our area that can get us t-shirts for $3 a shirt. So what we're going to do is get the Money Smart logo on there and then just hand them out all over the county fair and let people put them on and wear them and they're going to do our marketing. We displayed banners around town. Being that this is our first year, we kind of copied off of an essay contest for a Money Smart Kid that the Federal Reserve was doing. So we tried that in our area. Went out and got support from local dignitaries. Anybody in our area that would pretty much jump on something and help us promote this. That's what we did. Got a proclamation from our mayor. We were the first area, I'm going to take credit for this, to do billboards. There is a picture of our billboard. And again, it's just because of in Wisconsin, and especially I guess more so the area that I'm from, we don't even have a TV station that is in our area, and we have one newspaper. So our marketing was really limited. So we had to do whatever we could with what we had. We did offer a lot of Penny the Pig presentations. to local kids groups, and that we would go into boys and girls clubs, schools, things like that. But we did it, I'm not sure what other areas do. We did ours a little different. Kids could not get a Penny the Pig unless they brought their parent. And so for us, that was a way to build attendance as well as teach mom and dad something without them knowing that they were being taught. And then we also did like farmers markets, and we had a kickoff event. Our kickoff events too, every year, we actually became pretty good partners with our Rotary, our Rotarians, and they actually pay us to come and hold our kickoff event. We bring a speaker, and then they host the event. They have a lot of business owners in the community and in the area who every year they look forward to us coming in and teaching them something new about money, something that they didn't know. So they're actually a very, very supportive group, being that then they go back to wherever their place of business is and let people know that this is what's going on. And we also bring our marketing materials to them that during that kickoff, which is the Monday of, so that they can go back and distribute them, so we don't have to run all over town and do that. So that's it. That's all we did in 2006. That was our first year. And yeah, that's it. That was our first year. And you know, you can tell just by what we did, we were a little excited, didn't really know what we were gonna run into and where we were gonna go with this. But we thought we'd give it a try. So then in 2007, we did everything the same as what we did in 2006, but we added a few more things. And the reason for that was because we thought, well, geez, if you really just do it 1 year, and our attendance wasn't very great, but we had other communities within our surrounding community that was saying, hey, what is this? We heard you guys were doing some Money Smart thing. We want to do that. And so then we had our surrounding counties calling us saying, well, we might want to be a part of that. So we were trying to keep up with what we had and what we were doing, yet we wanted to offer it to our other counties and our surrounding areas so that more people could get involved as well. So one of the things we did is we do have a local TV station, but it's like, what's a TV8? It's just, you know, the thing that tells you what your kids are having for lunch that day. That's what we have. So what we did is made partners with them, and I went on there and went on and on about grocery shopping one day. I talked on a presentation about that and talked about scams and schemes and just did a variety of presentations on this TV station, knowing full well that nobody was probably ever going to see this. Because who watches what the kids are having for lunch on TV that day? However, that's not really what happened. What happened was there was a lot of elderly ended up hearing about what we were doing, and you know how that goes. They talk to so-and-so and talk to so-and-so, and then all of a sudden our little TV8 station worked really well for us. Not only was that huge for us in terms of doing the presentation on there, but then we had it taped. So then we could upload it, because the agency that I work for is a nonprofit, but then we had this presentation that was taped, so then we could upload it onto the internet, and we'll never track that. I mean, we'll never know how many people watched that. I'm sure it was billions of people that we've lost in our numbers because we can't track that, but I'm almost over that. That was 2007. So the other thing we did grocery bag stuffers. Just went to local grocers and asked them to put some of our marketing materials in a bag, and I mean, we were stingy about it. We told them, you know, this customer gets 5 bags, they only get 1. They only get 1 of these, because we were very limited in the resources we had. But again, we did the parade handouts, we did newspaper articles. By this time, our one paper in town, it took them a year, but they're starting to understand, thought, well, maybe we should do something on this. Maybe this is some kind of news. So we got some newspaper articles in. We hung posters around town, went to laundromats and hung up posters. Just pretty much any place that you would think people would congregate, that's where we went, and that's what we hung up posters and any kind of marketing materials we could that way. Did radio talk shows. We offered a lot of our complaints, not necessarily complaints, but some of the things that we could have done better in 2006 from our surveys said that they wanted childcare. Well, we couldn't find anybody that could realistically provide childcare, be licensed, and not have any other issues. So what we decided to do was hold children's presentations during the same time as what we did adult presentations. So whether they were coloring a thing of money and coins and learning how many coins were together or whatever the case was, that way we could keep the kids occupied and it wasn't technically called childcare. What we did is held a lot of presentations at a few locations. And in our community and in our state, it just seems to work better that way because people can kind of come and just be at one main place and then float from room to room all night long if that's what they choose to do. They don't have to get out and drive a lot. We sent out a lot of direct invites to schools and clubs. I think that because we were still in the beginning stages, we were very much into, we wanted numbers. We wanted to get to as many people as we could. And that's where we decided to do direct invites, try to get into the schools, try to get into clubs, like targeted type audiences. So that's where that idea came from. We did start doing presentations in Spanish as well as Hmong. We did a fashion show. We had that's the Dressing on a Dime. We had our local thrift stores come in with key pieces of clothing and mix and match, and did a fashion show to show people how you could dress on a dime and mix outfits. In 2007, because of our efforts from 2006, we actually won our Governor's Financial Literacy Award. So that helped us as far as any kind of PR that we got that year, because people started saying, well, maybe this is something that I should attend. And then we also did a grocery shopping event. I believe to this day you can YouTube it and it's still on there. I never knew how that got on there anyway. But what we did is we held, the agency that I work for, we have a presentation that's called Shopping for Less. And you have to, the idea is that people come in and we talk about, shopping on the outsides of the store and different things that you can do with deals, coupons, that kind of thing. So what we did is said, people can come to our presentations, to our grocery shopping presentation, and every time you come, you can enter to win a chance to go on a shopping spree. And we were going to have 3 people, and we kind of based it off of, I don't know if any of you remember that supermarket sweep game that they had. That's what we kind of based it off of, but it was as much as you could save. Like the most you could get, the most material things that you could get, but you had to save the most. And you could use a little shopping cart and whatever you needed to use. So we partnered with a local grocery store, had 3 people come in, they could all bring a team member, and it was extremely chaotic, but it was so fun. It was just huge. There was a lot of, for that event, we got Channel 12 News, which for us, that's huge. That's Milwaukee, the big city came. As well as a local radio station, did a remote, and we didn't ask for any of that. They just showed up. They heard about this and just showed up. Another big thing that we did that year was a VIP event for area employers. We felt that we were trying to reach out to as many people as we possibly could, as many areas as we possibly could, to try to get to the working. People who are working, have money, may not necessarily be doing the right things with their money, but how do we reach these people? So what we decided to do is hold a VIP event and actually did a luncheon where we brought everybody to us and we fed them. which is probably how we got them. But then we handed them marketing bags. We put all the Money Smart materials in the bag, and then they took it and brought it back to the workplace. We later learned that year that between that as well as our calendar of events, that was the biggest way that they heard about Money Smart Week that year. 2008, we kept going with what we did in 2006, what we did in 2007. There might have been a few minor things that just didn't work that we let go of. But for the most part, from the beginning, we've kept everything that we've done. And then we added, and what we did is we tried to make our presentations more fun and interactive, because we thought the more fun people have when they come someplace to listen to something, the more they're going to talk about it, even if it's money. So we came up with this fraud bingo game that we started using, went to all the senior centers in the area and played fraud bingo. And we also hooked in with some of the schools and did this Are You Financially Smarter Than a Fifth Grader game. For the younger grades, we did a coloring contest. Did a lot of our marketing was more targeted that year, in trying to get people to come, trying to get us to go to them instead of them coming to us. That year we also created a Speakers Bureau book, and the intent of that was so that Money Smart Week wasn't just a week, that this is something that we can do all year round. And then we took this book and gave it to our schools so that they had this tool that they could use to bring us and our committee in to talk to their students all year round. And then we decided to change the look of our calendar of events. The calendars, I saw some out there before, from the original look, we went to more of a paper look from the newspaper. And we changed that year as well. In 2009, and if you watch like the things that we changed based on the year of events, that's all we're really doing, is whatever is happening in life socially, that's what we did with our events. We have, like 2009, by this time, people are freaking out about their jobs. I don't know if I'm going to have a job. We had a lot of layoffs in Wisconsin, a lot of businesses that closed. People were extremely scared, and the big talk was, I should just go in business for myself. That's what I should do. Like, it's just that easy. Not that I'm discouraging that, but so that's what we did, is we thought that, okay, that's what we should do, is bring people in and educate people, teach them, what is it like to go into business for yourself? Is this for you? So we did a lot of presentations on owning your own business and being an entrepreneur, things like that. Living on less. Again, with the economy, a lot of people losing jobs, not having as much as what they had before. We thought that was a great way to go about it. That year we did something new. We made placemats for area restaurants. Our committee, Wisconsin, were a little out of the box. But what we did is we made these placemats that had a word search on it, and it was all financial literacy terms. And it was for kids, but then we'd make an area of it where it was more detailed. So there's like some meat information there for mom and dad, but then yet something to do for the kids as well. And then we started a financial makeover family. For us, the Money Smart Kid just wasn't going very well. So we decided to go with a financial makeover family. And then so what we did is gave them the opportunity to put together a plan, to come to decide how you want to make yourself better financially with your credit and your debts and where to go from there. And then that family won $1,000 because that's what we could afford. And then in 2010, some more things that we did, statement stuffers and utility bills. We also opened up a contest to the jail and prison. Another group that I think people don't tend to think of, but talk about a captive audience. We continued with our Money Smart Makeover family. Telling you, we're a little outside the box. Did fortune cookies. Alice Wigcam was our kickoff speaker. We also did Berenstain Bears books to all of the second graders in our area. So I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do in the future because you'll steal it. So that's it.
Okay, just right here.
Yep. Oh, I think you're going. Yeah.
Oh, I did, oh, there we go. Okay, everybody wake up. I know we just had lunch. But you know, just like Lisa, we're all very enthusiastic about what we're doing, and we really like doing what we're doing. I would be remiss if I didn't say that these are views of myself and not of the Federal Reserve Bank. Our campaign, like I said, started in a hurricane, so we had to postpone everything. Up until the last minute, I'm like, okay, should I cancel? Should I not? Should I? Anyway, so because we had the kickoff luncheon. And so in 2009, we've done it in April's ever since then. Our attendees grew from 3,200 with 160 events. The next year, 2010, 5,000 people with 200 events, and then 2011, almost 6,700 people with 110 events. That's not including the website hits. Our website hits, I saw somewhere in a proposal that I think of the 3 years have combined up to 800,000 hits. So we had hits from all over the world on it. It's the largest financial education campaign in the state of Texas, and of course, it is modeled after the Chicago. We are changing our name from Money Week Houston to Houston Money Week. That's because our founder, Denise Shanklin, has decided that she wanted to step down. So we thought, well, we'll just get a new face. Of course, I'm sure you can read everything on here, but I didn't have any other way to put it. We have a lot of partners. We have from fraternal organizations to community colleges to faith-based organizations to service grassroots organizations, United Way, you name it just about. We've got AARP at the top of the list. So a lot of the financial institutions, credit unions, the Mexican Consulate's Office, Children's Defense Fund, IRS. The friendly side of the IRS is a partner, the spec centers. Of course, HUD and others, SBA and FDIC, of course, who is my fearless partner in all of this. Committee structure. This is really crucial for us because it has kept us running. I mean, this last year, it ran so smoothly, I didn't even know that the week had come and gone. I mean, and that's from having a lot of bumps in the road getting there. So our leadership committee is comprised of about 8 to 10 people. It's co-chaired by myself and Ms. Gina Vincent in the office with the FDIC. They said I'm chair, but I'm trying to be a co-chair. We have an adult education committee, colleges and universities, K through 12 committee, fundraising committee, marketing committee, media committee, and the military committee. Everything needs to start with a good plan. This we have found, we have multiple pages to this plan. I'm only going to bore you with what the first page. Just mark showing what it consists of, the task, the start date, the finish date, the status, who it is assigned to. We want everyone to be accountable for whatever it is they sign up to do. Then any notes. So it's worked really good. And we start that we've already started that. The end of July, was it June? June. Okay, Gina knows. She keeps us on track. Website capabilities. This is really what we have found to be one of the greatest tools for everyone is the ease of use use is very important. RSVP to events, having resources because people come back to it during the year, and by far having an administrator that reviews and edits anything and everything before it goes live. The last thing you want to do is have misgrammar, wrong spellings, so forth and so on, or information that may not fit with what you're doing. Talked about the toolkit earlier, but this is an invaluable tool to the partners. Here they can download information that they may use. We rely on the partners to do most of the marketing themselves. You know, it's up to them to take that ball and run with it. We have usually a limited budget in terms of marketing capabilities. We wish we had a lot of money, and we would probably spend it mostly on radio and TV. People don't tend to read much anymore. I don't know if you've noticed that or not. Here's a couple of things from it. The posters, several of us do in-kind printing of the posters. The partners take it at the partners meetings. Our partners meetings will start next week, where they will come once a month, and they will get information that they may need or information to share. And one of the things is the posters, the flyers. They can download flyers if they don't want to print them themselves. We have a lot of nonprofits that don't have very big budgets. So those, we encourage them to take what's already printed. Then if there's a chance to incorporate some kind of press release, there's forms on there for the press releases. Annual reports. Your partners need these. They need these to keep things going for the next year. And in the annual reports is a lot of money. I mean, a lot of information. I wish it was money. Information. And most of the information is coming from the surveys. And I understand from hearing that there's going to be a way for to download that information directly on the database. Yeah, money is on my mind. It's money, 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 money. But we get a lot of really good information from this. Some of the events that are held with the children's groups, and if it's related to the school, like when Junior Achievement goes in, or the after-school programs through the Harris County School District, we cannot have them fill out surveys. So the partner surveys become very, very, very important for them to eyeball the group, see the ages, ethnicity, so forth and so on. What comes out of those surveys, and I just put a couple slides up. Impact, the questions you're asking. Are you going to change some of your behaviors after going here? Data, how many people are in certain educational levels, and what are the household ranges? We found out year before last that we were touching upon more of the senior citizens, and we kind of wondered why, but then when we went back and looked at the events that were being held, they were being held more in their arena. Economic and educational data, again, is very important to see where you're targeting. We work with most of the major universities in Houston, University of Houston, Texas Southern University, Prairie View A&M University, and Houston Community College. So it's very important to see, are we targeting this right? Here's a slide that shows a comparison between 2010 and 2011, the ethnicity of the group. By far, the largest are the minorities. If you haven't heard it yet, Houston is a majority minority community. So 42% were African American in 2010, whereas 36% in 2011. It's almost the same in between the two groups of the Hispanics. So Hispanics and African Americans are really utilizing this information. We have some signature events. They have changed. It's ebbed and flowed through the years in terms of what we've had. Our first year, we started off with a big panel. We had Kelvin Boston from PBS as a moderator and some other notable speakers, some authors, and other financial people from different banks and financial institutions, the State Attorney General's office. And then it went the following year, we had Anise Parker. Mayor Anise Parker was our keynote speaker at our kickoff. We do the kickoff. And then this past year, we had Reverend Kirby John Caldwell. Now, he got into it so much, he came out of his suit jacket. He was running around the room. He was just, and he was educated with at the Wharton School of Business, along with being a pastor. So I don't know if you've heard his name before, but he was involved in the previous First Family's daughter's wedding. The other big event that we had was Smart Money, Conversations about Financial Wellness. Houston Community College is the largest community college system in Houston, and they did a fantastic job. Then another signature event was created from our economic education person in Houston, 100 Teens. And here's where over 100 teens come to the Federal Reserve. They basically spend the day there, and it's all about money. We have keynote speakers that come in, and then we do our signature game at the end, which is the bean game. And the kids love it. It's a budgeting game. They each get 20 pinto beans. You know, we're in the South, so they get pinto beans. And so they usually have a real good time. They tour the Fed. We feed them. We also feed them at the partner kickoff luncheon. Food is a key. And they did have food at Houston Community College, a lot of food, breakfast and lunch. And here's just some snapshots. And you'll see Miss Gina Vincent right there over to the right upper corner. She's going to strangle me for putting her picture up there. But that just shows you some of the events. We did give out piggy banks last year, too. One of the nicest things that helps to keep your partners engaged is recognition. And the FDIC has been gracious to sponsor these awards each year, the Benjis. And as you can see from the list, or maybe you can't see, sometimes it goes to an individual, sometimes it goes to an organization. And they're really, I mean, folks really want these. So they're going to do good to get one of these little Benjis on their desk. You can contact myself or Gina Vincent for any of this information, and you would think that this is the conclusion. You're wrong. Alejo asked me to talk about all of Texas, and the other two, there's two other events, and two of the people that are involved in that are in the audience here. Please raise your hand. Yvonne Fernandez, and of course, Ms. Gina Vincent. Huh? Well, no, they're together. Yeah. Anyway, her community partners with her too. Then that's for El Paso, which we're going to talk about real quick here. El Paso started in 2010 with a week-long event. It was mainly coordinated by the United Way there. Some things, things changed. These initiatives evolve over time. Last year was a one-day event at the El Paso branch, and the United Way was the partner. And then 2012, you'd have to ask those fine ladies back there what they're going to do, but it's going to be a week-long event again. Here's a poster from their event, and they did have a shredding event on that day back in April. Financial Fitness of Greater Austin is also under the model of the Chicago Fed. Gina Vincent is very involved with that, began in 2007, and it has 60 partners. They've targeted employers a lot in that. If you'd like to know more about that, please contact her. There was a stat over 100% increase over the previous year, this year from last year, 69% minority participation, and 35% or more were households that were below 29.5. That's it. Thank you.
Structure that we've built on in Iowa for Money Smart Week. We have 150 partners and do about 150 events now during the week for the last few years. Our whole goal is to create opportunities for the partners. So we're creating events and helping them create events. We're streamlining, we're doing templates.
I'm just going to advance for you.
Okay. And it's not about creating work. We like to streamline. We don't like to create extra work. So I'm going to talk about a few things that we've done that are bigger initiatives. We have a lot of really successful events. The shredding events at the library are very successful. The identity theft events are very successful. We have a lot of other smaller events that are successful also. But we're going to start today with our Ben Franklin visits. Ben Franklin goes to school every March, maybe the end of February. We have volunteer Bens. Ben started out as our Ben in Chicago, and then he retired, and so we had to create our own Bens. He comes to school. We have a partner go with him. Class photos are a big hit. And it's an in and out in the school in about 30 minutes. We do about 5 schools a day. And I'm not sure what that is. Okay. Ben, the kids love Ben's autograph. And he very much obliges by going, you see the little Money Smart Week flyers that you can all get? He autographs those. They think those are real $100 bills. Of course, he tells them differently. And then we also have Ben's comic book that, and I can pass this around, that is available. And he autographs the comic book. He talks about saving, investing, and what to do with your money. Then we have a video of what happens in a classroom with Ben. Good afternoon, students at Webster in 5th grade. How are you today? Yeah, we are here today with Money Smart Week Iowa, courtesy of the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, because we want Iowans to better manage their money and to be really money smart. So we do Money Smart Week in April. And as part of that, we come into the schools with a very important person in our history who dealt a lot with money to talk a little bit about saving and spending wisely.
How are all of you? Good. I like the way you came in the room. I like the way you grabbed that $100 bill, and you all seem so happy. I take it that you all like money. Is that right? Yeah, you like money, don't you? I like money too. See, I've got a big $100 bill up there. See it? Mine is a little larger than the one that you've got. And I want you for about the next 10 minutes to just think about money and numbers and where money can take you. All right? And just to jumpstart that process for you a little bit, I gave you some pretty good wisdoms in regard to money. All right? And maybe you can help me finish these if you know it. Please finish it. Okay? A penny saved is a penny earned. There you go. Aren't they good, Joe? All right? Early to bed, early to rise makes one healthy, wealthy, and wise. Now, I like that a lot better. An investment in knowledge always pays the best interest. Will you save your money?
Yes.
Say, I will. Will you save your money?
I will.
Thank you. Save your money.
If I get it from the survey.
Maybe you want.
See you there.
I like that answer. Put a number on it, okay? There you go.
I will.
Thank you. Good job. Will you save your money?
I say.
You're a smart guy. I can tell.
Thanks, Tim.
Yep. There you go. Sorry.
Okay.
No.
Next slide.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Okay, so the kids love Ben Franklin. So do the partners. We get a lot of people involved. We get to a lot of schools. We have different Ben volunteers in every community, and sometimes we have more than one. We don't just concentrate on the Ben Franklin, though. We have a great piggy bank savers pageant that gets a lot of banks involved. And they do it in a variety of ways. These were decorated banks. These were giant boxes that we gave them, 2 foot by 4 foot, that they decorated on their own. We also have some all-star schools, and we have one in the room. Bob Mantell from Trainer, Iowa, is one of our all-stars in a school. He has every grade in a rural community doing some Money Smart Week event for the week. And Bob, I think you have like maybe 28 events or so. So if you want to learn more about what we do in schools and what kind of programs we have, talk to Bob. Okay, we also do statewide collaborations. One of the things that we've been able to do is get the Bankers Association and the Credit Union Association, which don't necessarily play well together, get them to play well in the same sandbox and stand on the same stage together. This is the president of the Iowa Bankers Association and the president of the Iowa Credit Union Foundation presenting the Money Smart Kid Award, because they're our sponsors and have been since inception for the Money Smart Kid contest, the essay contest. This is not the only contest we do. We do a poster contest, and we have thousands and thousands of grade school kids enter a poster contest. Why? Because another partner, the Community Bankers Association, said, well, what about us? And so we developed the poster contest for them. The bankers around the community hang posters that the kids have made, and sometimes it's the teachers who have heard about it from a Ben Franklin visit that have their classes do it. They hang the posters in the banks during Money Smart Week. They're judged afterwards and then awarded. One person in the room is one of our super Money Smart Kid people, and I just love her name because it just so goes with a bank. Cashton. Cashton is over there. If you'd like to learn more about our Money Smart Kid and poster contests, talk to Cashton. Another statewide collaboration that we're working on is with the Iowa Newspaper Association, because we do not do a calendar in Iowa. We do a newspaper insert. It's localized, and this kind of also falls under promotion, so I will talk about it more there. But we do that, and that's going to be our next collaboration, is with the Newspaper Association. This is our poster winner from last year, the girl, and this is our winning poster from the previous year. Okay. I guess I am talking about our newspaper thing there then. We have, instead of a calendar, our posters on the back. We double this as a poster. This goes into major newspapers in the state. We also get sponsors on the front and on the back, and all the content is the same. So we have 11 pages of content and the calendar on the back, and that every community can get, and we distribute thousands and thousands of them. And I have a couple that we can pass around if you like, or that I have some extra to set out on the table. Another thing that, thanks to Alejo, that we've been able to do is a museum display. And this is a template that we've replicated, and I think you probably could too if you would like. We have what is the Fed and how much is a million? We stuffed boxes with the Fed shreds. Partners can stack them any way they want. Basically what they get is clear plastic boxes, about 80 of them, a series of posters that talk about why we shred, and then a couple of posters on counterfeiting, money timeline, what money used to look like 50 years ago, and something about the Fed, and then something about Money Smart Week. Partners can use this in a variety of ways, in lobbies, at events. We have it in the library, we have it in museums, so they get to kind of do what they want there. And these are some other pictures of how they've stacked them, and we use the big cutout as part of that display. The display travels together, and each region has their own display. We do some statewide opportunities that have been very, very good for us. One is the Money Smart Women conferences. Last year we did 2. The year before that we did 3. These are events that we first started out targeting for women. And we did that for a couple reasons. Number 1, women will attend events. Number 2, women love giveaways. So in addition to giving away breakfast, we had custom-made purses and piggy banks and financial books that we used as our table decor, and then we gave those away. Everything is online. We drive them to a website. They register online. It's not very labor-intensive for us after the model gets going. And this is our crowd from last year. We have a keynote speaker every year, and we have a super speaker in the audience that has done a lot of different speeches for us, and is really very good at what kind of events, especially like budgeting and things, and that's Margaret Van Ginkel. She serves on our kickoff committee and in Des Moines and does events. So if you'd like to know a little bit about the kickoff or the Money Smart Women conferences, talk to Margaret. These are the piggy banks that we had on the tables, and how the tables were set up. We had a little investor inspiration calendar, and this was the only piece we printed for this was a postcard that we will print about in the end of December or January, and then use it to promote. But like I said, we drive everyone to the website. Those are some of our speakers. The other thing we do in conjunction with this, as we progress and learn a little bit from each time, we do teachers get credit for the class now. So they come to this conference, and then they do a couple of other online events, and then they get credit. So that has been a great thing. These are some of their projects that they've taken after they get the credit, and with their notebook. Our kickoff events happen all on one day, and the Fed can probably attest to it's kind of a long, arduous day, but we get around to all of them, and we use the same speakers, and we use the same format, and we're in and out in an hour. And that really works well. One of the things we do at a kickoff is we have, speed dating. Well, we have speed Ben Franklin photos. So we take Ben around a round table, and he just goes from point to point to point, shaking hands, and we snap photos, and away we go. So that's what we do. Another really, really nice event last year from a new region was Scout Night. Scout Night drew 100 scouts, boys and girls scouts, that came to do badges, and the tables were staffed by partners who had a theme that they were doing. Either was counting money for third graders, or it was learning about credit cards for sixth graders, or what have you. So that was a great event. We clone all our popular events. I think Michael mentioned that our libraries do shredding events, and they just keep doing them because they are so popular, and thousands of pounds later, they like that. We had a new one this year, Train the Trainer, which was a really nice event. We had several partners for that, and it had a nice crowd. And that's somebody else's, so. Right. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan from West Virginia, and I'm a little overwhelmed. We're in our first full year. We've done 2 Money Smart Week activities, and I got to tell you, we stole ideas from all of y'all. We went online and we stole ideas from everybody because they were so great and they were wonderful. And Alejo's like, model yourselves after what's working, and we're like, okay, we will. So, but just to give you a little perspective, I'm from West Virginia, and I'm from the largest city in West Virginia. 360 days of the year. It's the largest city. It has just under 50,000 people, Charleston, West Virginia, but Mountaineer Field, where West Virginia University Mountaineers play, holds 60,000 people. So 5 days a year when they have home games, the football stadium becomes the largest city in the state. We're a little bit rural, a little bit small, and so when we got together to decide to start Money Smart Week, we decided, we stole someone's idea, I forget whose it was, to have a financial literacy and education summit. And we got partner organizations together, and we talked about, should we have a bunch of different smaller events? And we weren't quite sure, and so we talked about it, and we decided for the first year we'll have a handful of events, but we're going to concentrate our effort on having one big event in the capital city, just to pool our resources, to get everyone together, to see how that works out. So we thought that would be really, really easy, a lot easier than small events. We were wrong about that. That was not an easy event to pull off. But it ended up being absolutely fantastic, because when we pooled all of our resources together for one signature event, the event itself turned out better than we could have ever imagined for our very first Money Smart Week. You should have distributed on your tables a copy of our program from that first event. It's a little green booklet. And we decided to have consumer tracks and professional tracks. And for the consumers, we ended up having about 500 people show up at the Civic Center, and we broke them into different groups, and we had different tracks they could pursue, and we broke them into groups of 50, and they could go through the Civic Center on different tracks. But we also found that there's a big need in West Virginia for continuing education credits, particularly among the legal community or among the accountants. And so as a way to kind of draw new partner organizations into Money Smart Week, we hosted continuing education seminars for professionals where they could get free continuing education credits by attending the Money Smart Week conference. Then they learned about Money Smart Week, and the next year they became partners. That was a huge good thing that turned out. We had over 100 attorneys show up for that first one, and they were mostly attorneys who were consumer interest and public interest attorneys who helped people who are of low income. They were from legal aid or senior legal aid, and the kind of attorneys who really needed the free legal education credit. We had a printed program, which you have a copy of, and we had a lot of signage to keep everything straight in the Civic Center. Kind of covered all that. And at the end of, at the very beginning of the session, all the professionals and all the consumers were together. They all heard the opening. They broke up into their groups. They came back together for lunch. And then we had an expo where vendors had booths at the end of the day. So it was a day-long event, had about 600 attendees. Okay. And there's a picture of the event. You can see we had numbered tracks. The number 3, the consumers would be with their leader who had a number for their track. There's a picture of the Civic Center arena where they all had lunch, of the check-in, and of Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin in West Virginia is a retired Catholic priest, Father Leon Alexander. And when he gets in character, he stays in character. In fact, we had to go pick him up for all the events because Ben Franklin didn't drive. And so he wasn't going to drive either. So we did put him on the back of a trolley you can see in the background, and we rode him all around town on the trolley. He agreed to ride, even though there weren't trolleys around, or maybe there were in Ben Franklin's day, I don't know. But he was a wonderful Ben Franklin. And so what did we change from the first one that was held in October 2010 until our second one that was this past April? Because Money Smart Week fell right before tax season, in April this year, we offered to the consumers free income tax prep that was offered by the tax aid program, and free consumer credit reports offered by our local consumer credit counseling service. So as part of the event, they could have that. We had a big computer station set up that had 50 computers in it, and they could go during the day to one of those sessions. The professional education things we turned into standalone events. We ended up having those on different days. And we had 2 financial literacy and education summits. We kept one in Charleston in the capital city, and we moved one to the northern panhandle in the town of Weirton, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. And we encouraged more partner organizations. We grew from that one event in the first year. Last year we had 19, and we were really thought we were growing, and now I'm hearing about 150, and I'm not feeling that great, but we were thrilled to have 19. And so the professional legal education track ended up being its own event last year, mostly because the Federal Trade Commission called us. And they said, we heard you've started Money Smart Week in West Virginia. We have to have some events in West Virginia, and we have some money. Can we join? And we said, sure, come on down. And so having that and the addition of the Federal Trade Commission brought new partners into Money Smart Week family in West Virginia, Legal Aid, the state's Financial Exploitation Task Force, and we had workshops that were for professionals who deal with lower income folks and trying to help keep them on track and trying to prevent fraud and financial exploitation. And we did again offer the free continuing legal education credits, and we ended up with a waiting list. We had about 200 people at that event during Money Smart Week in April. And the last thing I want to talk about is having AARP or AARP Foundation in your state as a partner with Money Smart Week. I work for AARP Foundation, and the core of what we do is try to help people of low income who are over age of 50. And we have many programs in our state. We have Elder Watch, which teaches folks how to avoid frauds. We have the Senior Medicare Patrol, which you've heard about the billions that the Medicare system loses each year, and it tries to teach people how to read their Medicare summary notice and how to check and make sure they're not being double billed or there's no fraud going on. A lot of these programs that AARP or AARP Foundation work on are in every state. There's a Senior Medicare Patrol in every state. If they're not in your program, we encourage you to get them on board. AARP, if they're not involved with your Money Smart Week, please let us know and we'll get them involved with your Money Smart Week. There's an AARP office in every state. AARP Foundation is a national organization. And what I think you might be able to get out of collaborating with AARP Foundation is what we got out of it. It's instant access to the 41 million members of AARP across the country. AARP has a great method of outreach. Most of the states can do direct mailings to their members if they're a partner organization. They have web pages, they have Facebook pages, they have outreach, they have newsletters. AARP Magazine is the most widely read magazine in the world. We've got a big footprint, and I think they'd be really happy to help. Just a few weeks ago, Scott Adkins, who was unfortunately unable to make it today, he's my boss at AARP Foundation, he made a presentation at the national office in D.C. to AARP officials about Money Smart Week, and they were thrilled. They thought it was great. So if you'd like to partner more closely with AARP, please let me know. My information's in the contact information there, and please get them involved. And as I said earlier, you won't just reach the seniors, you'll reach their grandkids, their kids. It's a good entree to reach all different kinds of age levels with the Money Smart Week message. So those were our lessons learned. Large-scale events are a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun, and the turnout's fantastic. And food was a draw. We did feed them lunch at the big events. Free continuing education credits may be a way to get new partner organizations in the door. And working with AARP and AARP Foundation, engaging them as partners will help you spread the word about Money Smart Week. Thank you very much.
Well, I will tell you, Alejo pulled a few of us together on a conference call to talk about this panel, and Susan and I were on there for a few minutes. We were chatting, and I kid you not, I hung up my phone from the conference call, and about 2 hours later, my local AARP person called me and said, "Hey, are y'all doing this thing called Money Smart Colorado?" I said, "Yes, we are." Again, my name is Stacy Montague. I'm with the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, the Denver branch. And one of the things that we do is we look at 7 states. So we have 7 states in our district. 5 out of the 7 states hold a Money Smart Week. And what we've realized over a course of 4 or 5 years, that it's visibility. And we want to generate a buzz. So again, we're in Colorado, Greater Kansas City, that encompasses both Kansas City and Missouri, Kansas and Missouri, Nebraska and Oklahoma. I also represent Wyoming and New Mexico, and my friends there, we're thinking about it. We're thinking about it. Now, all of us in our states are connected with Jumpstart. We have found our Jumpstart to be a very good partner. And in Nebraska, they call it, I think it's financial awareness campaign or something, but it is basically Jumpstart. So we, again, are trying to shift from events to awareness. Now, I'm not saying we don't do events. We absolutely do. But we, like several of us in the room, are getting disappointed with having 2 to 5 people show up. So we're trying to build more of a buzz about this. And of course, the partnerships are key. So I'm going to talk about a few different programs throughout the states. And the first one is Nebraska. Now, my dear friends in Nebraska, for some reason, they want to do it in the fall. I was never given a really good answer why, but they like to do it in the fall. And they have found the key partnership is with the University of Nebraska and the athletic department. In the fall, of course, in Lincoln, it's all about football. And so what they decided to do is have a tailgate. I mean, a true tailgate with a barbecue, the whole 9 yards. And they partnered with the school itself, so they were in a key position for the tailgate, right by the student center. And as you can see by the picture, they had a money machine. The partners donated some money, about $850, not a ton of money, and of course they put it all in singles. This got them advertising. And as the students were walking by, or even the adults, to get into the money machine, you had to answer a question correctly. And then you had so many minutes within the money machine. And I said, well, geez, that must have lasted all of 2 minutes with $850. Apparently, it lasted a long time. I guess this blows money really fast, really hard, and it's hard to grab. And they were in it for only a couple minutes. But that was a great way to generate buzz, hype. They also gave away foam fingers. Yes, I'm giving you the finger. I'm so sorry. But they gave these away. And this game was televised on ESPN that evening. And sure enough, when they went back and were watching the game on TV, every so often they could see these in the crowd. And they said that was their biggest thrill. They did about 250 of these. They were about $1.38 a piece. But, I mean, talk about keeping it around in their office. I mean, this hangs in my office, and I don't even live in Nebraska. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. They had to be careful. They wanted to do them green, because, of course, green seems to be our theme. But the opposite team's colors that night were green. Luckily, they checked the schedule. So if you do something like this, be careful to see who you're playing with. The other thing that they did is they worked with the student athletes. Apparently, the student athletes at the University of Nebraska have to do some life skills programs, and so they're working with other students. They go into the schools. They talk about literacy. They're talking about being financially literate. They are doing book readings, so that was a very good partnership. They also had a PSA done by their head football coach. Apparently, football is very popular in Nebraska, and so this had a huge draw. So that was Nebraska, and they are definitely moving things forward and looking at different ways to create a buzz. My friends in Oklahoma, they also have a Money Smart Week. They call it Jumpstart Your Money. And they are spread across the whole state. What they're doing is they're creating an insert, very similar to our friends in Iowa. But this is something that they have basically one paper and it covers the whole state. So they're creating a calendar of events, but it's more of an advertorial piece. And you pay a sponsorship to be in there and you write an article, but the article is going to talk about things that are happening with economics, personal finance. So it doesn't really tout you, it doesn't really tout what your company does, but it talks about the whole campaign. And this thing is kept year-round. They've seen some really good results with this. It wasn't that expensive, so they were thrilled with that. My friends with the greater Kansas City, again, Kansas City is right on the border, and it's both encompassing Kansas and Missouri. They're the overachievers. They decided to do a month-long campaign. Now, I thought that was a little crazy. I thought a week wore me out. But they definitely are trying to gather as many people together as they can. Again, they're looking for ways to create buzz. What is the media like? Kids and animals, right? So animals not so good with their money, but kids, that's a really good one. They created student contests, poster contests, essay contests. For the older kids, they like their flip cams, and they are creating videos and to help educate the younger kids or even adults. So that became a good way to create the buzz. They were doing a little bit of a broader marketing campaign. They would go to events and advertise at the events about Money Smart Week. So celebrities like Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, they happened to be in town during that month. Other groups had been sponsoring them to come into town. So they promoted their Money Smart Week during those events. And surveys. I know a lot of us are trying to figure out ways to make sure we're making an impact. This year they're going to encourage participants to fill out surveys by offering a prize of an iPad or a Kindle. And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that it works well for them and hopefully we can translate it. Now Colorado. I can talk a little bit about Colorado in more detail. The Colorado campaign is, we've been now getting ready to go into our 4th year, and we're very excited about it. Some people worry about hurricanes. We worry about snow in Colorado. Believe it or not, at the end of April, well, our first year of doing it, our kickoff breakfast got snowed out by about 3 feet of snow. So we're always watching the weather, too. This past year, we were looking at ways to get some more grassroots out there, and we had a Money Smart Day at the Capitol. About 30 days before our Money Smart event, we went to our Capitol and we met with our legislators, and we talked about how we had different resources for their constituents. And so they became aware of it. So when they were fielding phone calls about, hey, I've been scammed, I'm worried about my mortgage, they could point them in the direction of Money Smart Week. So it was a win for them and definitely a win for us. We also partnered with our local NBC affiliate, and we did a week-long call-in. So during Money Smart Week, from 5 in the morning to about 9 o'clock, we had financial planners go, and they, you can see them there taking phone calls. And you think, who is up at 5 in the morning wanting to talk about their finances? Literally, the minute they say, okay, we're live and you can call in, the phones started ringing off the hook. And they did for the next 4 hours. So that was a really good opportunity for the NBC affiliate, and of course, for us to promote the week. We don't have a budget either for marketing. Social media, we found, was our biggest way to get the word out there. Facebook, Twitter. I got to admit, I don't tweet, I don't go on Facebook too often, but I have a marketing committee, and that's what they do to get the word out. When we do have partners that say, and participants say how they heard about our events, it was through social media. So we're very excited about that, because that's, it's a little bit time consuming, but it's pretty darn cheap. So we were excited about that. We also worked on doing some different marketing pieces and some different marketing opportunities. We found a local PR firm who was able to do some pro bono work, and we held marketing workshops for our partners, because that is something we heard, hey, we have this event, no one comes. So the PR firm came in and said, let's talk about ways to get more people to come. And so they created some learning opportunities for our partners, and they would really appreciate it. And of course, we also used the calendar piece. We also used we called them direct mail cards or bookmarks. But of course, one side talked about Money Smart, but on the back side, we left it blank. And we designed it so it could be fed through your printer. So you could put your information on the back side, or you could put a sticker, whatever you wanted to promote your event. So those were things that we printed and gave out to the partners. And last but not least, flash mob. Does everyone know what a flash mob is, for the most part? Okay. Well, good, because I had to explain it to my Jumpstart committee, because they're like, you want to do a what? So, well, we want to try to do a flash mob. And our marketing committee decided months in advance, and I will tell you, when hopefully we can get this to work, the choreographing took a little bit, and they practiced, but it was done outside the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, the Denver branch. We happen to be on a pedestrian mall that is just foot traffic and some shuttle buses. And so right at noon, they slowly sauntered out. Let me see if I can get this to work.
If not, I should be able to pull it up on the
All right. Where's the mouse? Okay. I will tell you why this is loading. To have somebody tape this for you, it's fantastic. Hang on, let's get full screen. Maybe. All right, I don't know who had more fun, the people dancing or the people watching. But the idea, that created so much buzz, and I don't remember how many hits now, but it had like 1,500 hits. It's been kind of fun. Okay, 50 of those are mine, I have to admit. But it was a lot of fun. And of course, you could kind of see it. There was a lot going on there. But we had a large banner out that said Money Smart Colorado. You didn't see me dancing, but I was out there passing out brochures talking about Money Smart. And so we built a really good awareness. Now everyone's like, now that they've seen this, everyone's like, hey, so y'all doing that that flash mob thing, Dennis? Well, yeah, maybe, but you're not supposed to talk about it. Everybody wants to do it because they want to check it off their bucket list. So it's building a hype, and it's kind of silly, but it is. And we're finding that people want to know, well, where's the next one going to be? And can we do it several times during the week? So again, we decided with our Money Smart Weeks is to build the visibility, build the hype, and build the buzz. So thank you very much.